Well, as we've said for a couple of weeks, our guest preacher this morning is the Reverend Janusz Daszuta. Janusz is the senior pastor of the United Methodist Church in Kielce, Poland. We have sent mission trips and mission teams to Poland the last 2 summers. Janusz is not only the pastor of the church in Kielce, he is in charge of evangelism for the United Methodist Church in Poland. As such, he is the force behind what's called the Days of Renewal, which is the annual meeting in Warsaw of all Methodist people, where they come for music and worship and study and fellowship. And I was privileged a year ago to be the guest preacher for that, and that's where I got to know Janusz and Bożena. And then Janusz is also the force behind what's called the Indian Village, which is an outreach of his church where they do an outdoor camp for children with the theme of Native America in the middle of Poland with teepees and everything. And they had close to 400 children there just this summer. We took a team there as well. So folks from our church have been to Poland over the last couple of summers. And we were so glad when we found out that Janusz and Bożena were going to be coming through America and making a stop here, and was able to bring our message today. So I'm not going to waste any more of time, and I'll just introduce now Reverend Janusz. We're glad to have you here with us. Janusz?
Thank you. Larry, thank you for your warm welcome, but I have to tell you that here at this time, among you, there are many angels, but there is one special dear friend of us from Bemidji, Minnesota, Trina, who is here with us. You know, when we got American visa in '88, we came to Bemidji, Minnesota, not knowing how God will work, all these details. I went to the woods to pray, asking Him to lead me, to guide us, protect us, be with us. And when we came to school, Bible college, Trina was our neighbor. She is not from this state. So it's amazing that she is here. In all the American states, she is here, and it's a special gift to us to see her.
Amen.
Thank you very
Amen.
much.
We're glad for that. Amen.
But this morning, I would like to take you to Poland when it was still a communist country, when the communist leaders closed many doors to other cultures and countries, and we were called countries behind Iron Curtain. But in 1980, you know that Solidarity movement was born in Poland. And you probably know the name Lech Wałęsa, who became Solidarity leader, who became later on our president. And a new sense of freedom came to Poland. People were so excited. They can now do what they can say whatever they want, and it was a special openness to many different Christian churches and organizations, and some of them came to Poland. One of these organizations was Campus Crusade. They came to my country with a movie, Jesus, according Gospel of Luke. And they were showing this film in many public places, in many churches, and I was invited for such movie, but to me it was meeting Christ. So many times I was trying to change my own life, but I couldn't. And during this movie, when Jesus is taking evil spirit from one man who was chained, and he was breaking these chains, he was enslaved by evil present in him. Jesus made him free. When I went home, I kneeled and I said, Lord, change my heart and make me free. And nothing happened. I mean, there was no lightning, There was no special kind of openness in the sky. Nothing happened. But when I returned to my job, I noticed that swearing is not anymore fit for me. God changed my speech, and that touched my life, that I started to pay attention to what I am saying, how I am talking to my colleagues, to my parents. And speech was the first area in my life that God started to change in me. And I was so excited because I was 18 years old. I never had a Bible in my hands. First time I was able to read. Before I knew that Jesus on the pictures, in sculptures, but I found that true faith, true religion is not about rituals, but about relationship. And I gained a new friend who promised to be with me always and everywhere. And so I was so excited to share the good news with other people in my workplace. But then I got this strange invitation, a letter, an official letter from Polish Communist Army. And I had no choice. I had to go, but I didn't want to, because I wanted to love people and not to kill people. So I was trying to find a way out, but I couldn't. And our communist leaders called in Poland martial law. They arrested Lech Wałęsa and many other Solidarity leaders. Some were in hiding. So when you picked a phone, you could not call out of state. And in your state you can talk, but in the back you can hear someone who's listening. They were recording everything. They were trying to catch someone who was still hiding or someone who is against communists to arrest. And food was ration. We had stamps, food stamps. We could not buy whatever we needed or whatever we wanted, but just 2 pounds of sugar, 2 pounds of flour, oil, just basic things. And you always had to have your ID, because soldiers who were patrolling streets, they could stop you. They will ask you, where are you going? What are you doing? Our freedom was very limited. And in these difficult times, they called me to serve in the military army. You should also know that in Polish army, there were no chaplains at that time, but political communist leaders. And they were trained to train us so that we will become a strong arm for the communist government. And we had to spend with them 6 hours per week to study the communism. And when we came, they didn't ask us who would like to join youth communist organization. No, they said, who will not join? And those who will not join, they will not go out. They will not see for a long time their family. They will not enjoy many privileges as communist members. And so it was not an easy decision for a young man who came to this base from many different parts of Poland with different customs, different traditions. And we were asked to leave all behind. And when we dressed in these military uniforms, they expected from us that we will support communist government. And I remember that at the beginning, everyone was screaming at us. Everything we were doing in running. And so soldiers decided to cheer up one another, and at evening time, when lights were off after 10 p.m., they decided to share jokes just to kind of encourage and have some relaxed time. But for me, I realized that this is for me a great chance to share something that helps me preserve my life from cutting my veins, as some soldiers did, trying to get out of the military base. Some were pretending that they are insane because it was a difficult time. And I sat on my bed and I said to them how I met Christ. How by knowing young people and studying scripture with them, my life started to change and affected my life. And as soon as I started to say these things, they stopped laughing. There was no any comments, complete silence. And I knew that among the soldiers there were some who already belonged to communist youth organization. So I gently said, "Thank you, that's all what I had to say, I'm going to bed." And next day, afternoon, one soldier came to me and said, "Janusz, we already talked to one another, we decided to quit jokes, we would like to hear more. We would like to listen to you. Please, after 10 p.m. when lights will be off, please speak to us again." And I was a young Christian, I didn't know much, I didn't study in a Bible college at that time, but from what I remember from our youth group, from the reading of the Bible, I was sharing these simple things, and sometimes in darkness, someone asked me, "Janusz, when you pray, do you have to use special words? Do you have to memorize right words so that God will hear your prayer?" And I said, "No, I just speak to him what is in my heart. I share and I ask him to be with me, to give me strength to go on. But how do you pray? I never prayed before. Could you help me?" And I said, "Yes." So I said one word and he said the other. He repeated after me. And this is how we prayed. And sometimes there were more serious questions, like about forgiveness. "Janusz, do you think in darkness of the room, Janusz, do you think God can forgive me for what I have done to her?" These things were done by his presence in the military base. And I was experiencing him in our night talks. One night when I was so comfortable preaching almost to fellow soldiers, our commander, an officer who had a night duty, heard some noise in this room. And he opened the door, and he stood right at the door, and everyone like you who were facing him, as soon as they saw him, they just lay down on a bed and pretended that they are sleeping. Some even started to snore. And I thought that they are tired. It was a heavy day, difficult day, so maybe they are already had enough. They don't want to listen. So I said, "Okay, so I am finishing for today. Have a good night, I'm going to sleep." And he, when I was saying goodbye, he closed the door, and when I finished, everybody got up and said, "You didn't see him?" I said, "Who?" "Our commander was there." And I could not sleep for the rest of the night. I was thinking what he will do to me, what he will say to me. And next day he called my name and he said, "Do you see this tree far away from me? Run there and come as soon as possible back." Then he said, "Ground." And there was a big puddle. And he said, "Crawl there and back." And I did. Got dirty all over my uniform. And he came to me, looked at my face and said, "I never heard these things before in my life, and I would like to know more." And he became my friend on many different occasions when nobody was watching, because he was an officer. He talked with me about God. Maybe someone else said to others that I have a Bible in my pants, military pants. And so the other soldiers noticed that I was reading this New Testament, and they would like to also have one. But it was illegal to have a Bible in our army. We had to hide it, because every day some people were checking what we have and what we don't. And in fall and winter, when we were wearing these heavy military coats, I went out to visit several different churches, and I asked pastor to give me some Bibles, and I put inside here and there, and I filled my coat full, so I was really big as I was walking back to the military base, praying that God will put on a guard someone that knows my face, that let me go through without checking why I'm so strangely big. And most of the time I had free pass, no troubles, but sometimes we were caught and punished. A day in arrest or 2 days, but most painful were to stay in the military base, for example, for 100 days and not go to anywhere, to your family or to your friends. Extra duty, this punishment was most common. And there were moments when soldiers receive a Bible from me, and they were reading, and they said, "It's difficult to understand. Can we meet someplace, talk, read together?" And so we decided to look for hiding places, but an hour before everyone got up, at 5 a.m. 5-6 soldiers met together, and we were reading scripture together, we were praying together, we were encouraging one another, and God gave us so much power that we could go on during the different duties of the day, and later on other groups said, "We too would like to meet." So an hour after everyone went to bed, at 11 p.m. we met again in different hiding places to read, to pray, to encourage one another. And sometimes when I was walking up the stairs, someone was walking behind me and said, "I heard that you can organize a Bible." And I pretended that I don't know what he is talking about. So at first I was silent, but he was speaking, so I said, "Sir, I don't know, what are you talking about?" And he said, "If you would like to more details, I can tell you more details." So I knew that he knows a lot about us. And I said, but I cannot organize a Bible here in the military base. I have to go out. And he said, okay, how many hours do you need? I said 48 would be plenty. So he gave me, because he was an officer, he gave me a free pass so I can go to nearest town to visit some churches and could get the Bibles to the military base. He didn't like him to be seen that he was talking to me or that he was receiving from me the Bible. So he asked me to meet him at a certain place, being sure that nobody is watching how I was giving this scripture to him. But he wanted to read. And so when there are some places or situations in which you fear how it will be, my experience is teaching me that God can be every place, the same what we need. He survived and he helped me to survive 2 years in this military time. And you know, when I was completed my service, I had a plan in my head to find a wife. I didn't see many girls during these 2 years. I was seeking wife. I wanted to start a family. And so as a Christian, I asked some other Christians, help me know how you were sure that this lady is for you. And whomever I asked gave me a different answer. But one said, Janusz, maybe before you will ask God if she is right for you, maybe you should ask, are you right for her? And even more, is marriage for you? You know, living in Poland, dominated by priests and monks, I was thinking God would like me to live celibacy, to live a single life. And I got scared because I already made some plans. So for a while, I quit praying. I quit praying because I was afraid that when I will listen to him, he will tell me plainly, yes, I would like you to devote my total life to my service. But I needed to find a job in order to make some money to go for English camp that was organized first time in Poland by a mission organization. And I got a job at this construction site to shovel sand, to shovel sand from one pile throw to the other, through the metal net for stucco. And I am shoveling this sand, throwing, and suddenly I hear, why are you afraid of me? Why are you afraid to trust me? I know you like no one else. I know your weak spots and your strength, and I will be with you. And his voice, God's voice, was so strong and powerful and clear in me that I knew right away that it was God who spoke to me. And to me it was like he took some kind of pink glasses that I couldn't see clearly. And I, in front of this pile of sand, I kneeled like Moses in front of a burning bush. And I said, Lord, I don't know what you have for me, but whatever you will give me, it will be a great gift. So I will welcome. And God took my fear away. I was not afraid of being single. I was even seeing that maybe it will be a wonderful opportunity for me, greater than I even thought. But later on, I was attending a wedding to which I was invited, and at this church, a youth group decided to spend a night in prayer to find special scripture verses that would be like a live theme for the young couples. And they made several extra. So after giving their presents and these gifts, written words to young couple, they asked, who would like to receive a word from God? And I raised my hand as well, but before me there were two other people. So when I came to a platform on the stage, there was only one card left, no choice. They opened it and read from microphone to everyone that beauty is deceitful, but godly wife is to be praised. And some of my friends who knew about my things said, Janusz, this is answer from God, you will have a wife. And 2 years later, in different part of Poland, I met Bożena, whose name in Polish is God's gift. And that doesn't mean that automatically living together is easy and without a challenge or problems. My wife that I love is not perfect, but I am not either. But walking with Him, living with God, it makes possible that this year we celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary. And we are very grateful for this opportunity. One more thing. This is from our church ministry. In my church, there are people of different age. And some are very actively involved, like you are here. But there was one lady whose husband passed away, and she was all her life serving, but illness came and she couldn't attend service Sunday after Sunday. So she was staying home and called me very often, asking, what's going on? What is happening at the church? Come and share with me. So it was my regular duty to go to her, and part of the whole deal was that she was preparing a tea like you never tasted or drank before. Your heart was... And another thing, after this powerful tea, after some complaining about the world, about the church, that it's not like used to be in former times, she started to share war stories. She was a war hero. She picked up a wounded soldier and carried on her back from a battle. So it was important to her, and she wanted me to remember all the details, what happened. But after 20, 30, 40 times, when you know this story from many different perspectives, and when 2 weeks have passed and I didn't see her, she called me. She knew how to find me. And she said, Pastor, I didn't see you for last 2 weeks. And I would like to know what's going on at the church. And I hung up the phone. I said, okay, yes, I remember. But I said, Lord, I really don't want to go. I really don't like this powerful tea. And I really know all of these stories. And as I was trying to convince me that there is maybe much better thing to do during this time, I suddenly heard, if you will not go to her, I will go. If you will not drink this tea, I will drink. If you will not listen to her, I will listen. And to me, I was in my car. I said, Lord, I'm going. And you know, when I went there, She welcomed me with a smile, and of course, I have for you already a cup of tea. And after just a minute or two, she started again speak about how difficult it was during this battle, how she found this wounded soldier, how she was carried on her back, and now her knees are suffering because of that. But this time, I sense that we are not alone, that Jesus was with us right there. And it was beautiful what he taught me, that he is present when there was someone lonely, a widow, an orphan, a sick, a single who was never or was not seeing many people for a long time, who is missing company. I was learning through her how to recognize God's face in the other. And if you would like to experience his presence, learn who is in your area, whom you didn't visit, who has no one to be hugged, who has no one to talk to, and be that person, and you will experience what I experience. You know, it's a great gift to me to be in your country, because in Poland, our congregations, our churches are small in a large, dominant Catholic church. Next Methodist church is far away, not like here, next block or 2 blocks away, or in the same city on a different street. We don't have many opportunities to see one another. And many Methodist people think that they are everywhere small and insignificant and cannot do much. That's why it is great for me to be part of extended family, to see that the Methodist Church in different parts of the world is strong, is big, is bigger than in ours, and that together we can do much more than separate, where we are far away from each other. And I really, on behalf of my people, would like to say thank you for sending your people to my country, because together we have done amazing outreach to children. Now is one of the biggest in the country, a blessing to many children. As you and your pastor and his family is a blessing to me. Thank you very much. God bless you.